Hello, welcome to the Spark Lab. I'm Rebecca and this is Book and Cook. Today we are making a apple carrot hash it also has raisins, onions, some butter, a little cumin, and a little bit of coriander. Coriander is the seed of the same plant that you get cilantro from. So this is going to have it's going to taste a little South American flair to it. This is a great way to use up apples that are getting a little soft and aren't great for just eating anymore. Your carrots are looking a little limp in the fridge. Your onion is feeling just a little soft, but not if it's moldy when you start cutting into it. Everything you have, you're going to want to slice pretty small. So this is a quick cook. We've got a little more ingredients here than I would say is for one recipe. We're going to see how much fits in the pan. This is what I had in the Spark Lab pantry this week. So what I don't use will end up going in the fridge and being used for something else, or go in the freezer and be used for something else. But the recipe takes 2 whole apples, 3 carrots, 1 large onion, 1 box of raisins, your regular size 12-ounce box of raisins. We're going to use 2 teaspoons of coriander, 2 teaspoons of cumin, and 4 tablespoons of vinegar. So this is kind of a spicy, sweet, sour. It's a sweet and sour recipe. First thing you're going to want to do, and about 2 tablespoons of butter. Butter is an estimate because I'm just going to chop some off there. Remember, the more butter you use, the more fat it has. Less butter you use, less fat. If you don't want to use butter because you're trying to watch your fat a little bit, you can use olive oil, 2 tablespoons of olive oil, 2 tablespoons of canola, 2 tablespoons of vegetable oil, corn oil, whatever you want. You probably do not want an oil that's stronger than olive oil, so if you do a sesame oil, it's going to swing a little more Asian, but you're really going to taste that sesame when you do that, because sesame is a really strong oil. So are some of the other oils. But if that's your thing, go for it. This is a kind of a kitchen sink sort of recipe, so it's a mix it up the way you want. This is what we have available. This is what we're using. Your mileage may vary. First thing you're going to want to do is get your skillet warm. Once you've got everything all chopped up, you want to get your skillet warm. You want to take your butter, and you want to lop off about 2 tablespoons and just melt that in your skillet. Like I said, if you use butter, it's going to be a fatty, but it's going to taste so good. Get your butter all melted before you get started. That's going to take a little while. Once you get your butter melted and hot, you are going to want to add your cumin. Remember I said 2 teaspoons, not tablespoons, teaspoons of cumin. So 1, 2. You want to add your spices kind of at the beginning because you want to bloom your spices. That'll get them all heated and happy and all ready to go. Then you're going to want 2 teaspoons of coriander, 1, 2, butter sizzling just a little, probably not over the top of the pan, but trust me, it's sizzling just a little. Keep mixing your stuff together. All mixed and melted and warmed up. You'll start to smell the spices as they warm up. When you can start to smell them, you are going to want to toss in your onion. Get it all in there. Again, you don't have to make them all thin cut. You can make them bigger. just remember you're going to want to commit to a size. You want all your vegetables and your fruit to kind of be the same size so they cook at similar rates. You do not want to end up with your carrots all hard because they're really thick. I mean, maybe you do. Maybe you want crunchy carrots, but that's not really the object of a hash. A hash means that you're trying to get it all cooked down and kind of at the same softness. This is really a side dish that you can serve with a roasted chicken or a pork roast, or if you want, if you use a big enough skillet, once you get you can cook your meat ahead of time, and you can use a ground sausage or a ground turkey or a ground chicken and cook those ahead of time. You can even do bacon, and then instead of using the butter, use 2 tablespoons of your bacon grease or the sausage grease left over, whichever those you would like, and use those as instead of the butter or the oil to cook with. And then you can add, once you've cooked all your vegetables and your carrots, your your fruit, your apples, your onions, when they're all cooked down, add that cooked ground meat back in and serve it as a single skillet meal. While your chicken or your turkey ground chicken or ground turkey may end up with oil left after cooking it and you take it out of the pan, you're going to need a better oil than just the leftover bits, because there's just not enough. Yes, they have fat. Sorry, chicken and turkey do have fat just like any other animal, but it doesn't give you enough fat to really cook with, so you will have to supplement with butter or oil with those. Get your onions cooked a little bit down. You want them kind of translucent. You don't really want to get them like caramelized. For one thing, nobody wants to spend that kind of time, and you especially, not standing here with me today. You want them translucent though. You want them a little bit see-through, so that they've started to get soft. They're not so crunchy anymore, because you're kind of trying to get, onions have a really strong flavor. They're probably the strongest flavored thing outside of the cumin and the coriander that you have in this. So you want to get a little of that edge. You want to make sure that by the time the dish is all done, they are well cooked and you're not having really sharp, bitter oniony flavors. So once your onions are kind of translucent, you're then going to want to toss in your carrots, because those are your next hardest bit of veg. Unless they're really scary carrots and have been sitting and gotten really soft in your fridge, they're your hardest vegetable. They're much harder and take more to cook than the apple does. But they're all friends and family. And you're going to see, I'm really going to test the limits of this pan today. Because I can tell you right now, I'm only going to be able to fit about half those apples and half those raisins in there. And even then, it's going to be heaping. When you do that, and you go, oh no, I put too many things in, you can always feel free to scoop some out, put them back in the bowl, save them for a later dish or a second batch, which I think I might actually take some of these out, because otherwise we will not get anywhere with the apples and stuff. Remember, cooking is an art, not a science. It really doesn't, unless you burn it, there really aren't any mistakes in cooking. About the only mistake you can make is you burn it. There's really no coming back from burning something. So at this point in time, to add a little bit, you're going to want to get your carrots maybe steaming a little. So you're going to want to add your 2 tablespoons of vinegar. Yes, we use the giant jugs here in the Smart Plant. So that gives a little bit of liquid to your stuff. let this cook a little. We're going to take a little break while we let the carrots cook because they're going to take a little while to cook. So you're not going to want to stand here and watch me just stir the pot. So we'll take a little break. I'll come back and see you when we join the apples and the raisins. See you in a bit. Okay, so you've been cooking your onions and your carrots until your carrots are fairly soft and your onions are fairly soft. Next thing you're going to want to do is add your 2 apples. This is more than 2 apples, that's 4 apples in there, so we're only going to add about half the bowl. And the nice thing about the apples as they break down is that they're going to provide some more juice to the recipe so that you don't have to add anything else. But if at any point in time you think your recipe is looking dry, go ahead and just grab some water and add just a touch of water to it so that it steams your veg. You don't want your pan going dry. Like I said, the only way you truly can ruin a dish, and you can never come back to it, is if you burn it. So you don't want your pan to get dry. It's better to have a little water. You can always cook the water off. It may take things a little longer, but water can always be cooked off. Burnt flavor is burnt flavor, and there is nothing you can do about it but throw out whatever you were cooking. Because there's nothing you can do to save it at that point in time. So you're cooking down your apples and your carrots and your onions. You can see everything looks so pretty in the pot. And I lifted it up and my little burner here said, "Stop that, there's nothing on me, why do you want me on?" Because this is an induction burner, so you have to have the metal pan on there at all times or it doesn't know what it's doing. It smells fabulous. That coriander and that cumin just smells so good. Don't like coriander and cumin? Not a problem. Skip those. Throw in a little cinnamon and nutmeg. Make it a little sweeter side to whatever you're doing. You want a little more of a sauce to your dish. Add some water. Add a little milk. Make a little milk slurry with a little bit of milk, a little bit of flour. Pour those in and you can make yourself a milk gravy. Fabulous. This would be good over rice. Throw a little rice, we've got not plain white rice, but say minute rice. Throw a little minute rice, throw a little extra water in there. Have a rice dish. Like I said, this would be great with ground chicken or ground turkey mixed in, ground pork, sausage, bacon. If you do bacon, make sure you cook your bacon extra crisp and crumple it up so it's like bacon bits. Don't leave big chunks of bacon in there. But it really does well as a side dish with a roasted chicken. You can pan roast your chicken and then throw it in with this. If you have a bigger skillet, don't use this skillet, it's too small. Or you can mix all of these vegetables up the way they are, put them in the bottom of a roasting pan, put your chicken on top and stick it in the oven and roast it in the oven. Probably the ever popular 350 degrees for about 35 to 40 minutes. Probably more like 45 to 50 minutes so that everything cooks down. But then you'll end up with all those chicken juices all over the top of your meat too, and it is all over the top of your veg, and it is fabulous. So once everything has cooked down some, your last thing you're going to want to do is add your raisins. You got a big pan? Add as many raisins as you want. Don't like raisins? Don't add any raisins. It's raisins to taste. So add a full box of raisins, add half a box of raisins, add no raisins because you think raisins are the most evil thing that ever came under the sun. I love raisins. Raisins will definitely make this more sweet. Don't think it has enough of a soury mix? Toss in another tablespoon or two of vinegar. I will always tell you, cook what you want to eat. Cook the flavors you like. Try new flavors, but don't be afraid to change a recipe out for things that you like in that recipe. If you don't like raisins, don't use raisins. If you don't like onions, don't put onions in it. It will be really sweet without any onions, but don't put onions in it. I actually, with my apples, if you take a look at those are unpeeled. That's one of the reasons I slice them real thin. Peels give you that extra fiber, and everybody knows we need more fiber in our diet. So they cook down soft enough that you don't even know that the peels are on there. But if you don't, you're like, ew, gross, I never eat cooked apples with peels. Peel your apple. I don't care. I'm not in your kitchen. I'm not eating your food. Make the food you want to eat. And you just keep working on this. It's going to probably take about 10 to 15 minutes to get, ooh, or not, because those apples are getting good. To cook your apples down, oh man, those apples are good. And like I said, this is a real good recipe for those carrots that have hung out in your fridge too long. I want to thank you all for coming. This is going to be really great when it's done cooking. You can tell it looks really great already. I thank you all for joining me here in the Spark Lab for Book and Cook today, and I hope to see you again soon. Have a good day. Bye.